The ideas expressed in City Club forums are those of the speakers and not of the City Club of Cleveland, IdeaStream Public Media, or their sponsors. Production and distribution of City Club forums on IdeaStream Public Media are made possible by PNC and the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland, Incorporated.
Welcome to the City Club of Cleveland, where we are devoted to conversations of consequence that help democracy thrive. It's Tuesday, October 21st, and I'm Lee Friedman. I am serving as executive in residence at Cuyahoga Community College, and I'm a proud member of the board of the City Club of Directors. We are here for the annual State of the Schools address with the CEO of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, Dr. Warren G. Morgan. Since 2011, this annual forum has served as a moment of reflection on the progress and potential of Cleveland's public schools. Last year, Dr. Morgan gave his address at a particularly urgent time and just ahead of a November vote for a combined operating levy and renewal of a bond issue that would provide critical funding for the district. That levy passed with an enthusiastic 67% of the vote. Yeah. I think this is a good time to shout out our Mayor, Justin Bibb, and Dr. Morgan for their efforts in leading to that kind of success. We also learned at that time that CMSD received the highest rating of all urban districts in the state of Ohio. He also noted, Dr. Morgan told us, that attendance was up and chronic absenteeism was down, and gains were made in both math and English and language arts. Yet, amidst the celebration, Dr. Morgan was candid about the challenges the district faced. Those challenges include rising costs and under-enrolled buildings. A district that served 70,000 people just 20 years ago is now providing schooling to fewer than half that number. And as costs rise due to inflation, both the state and federal governments have cut their allocations for public schools. Last week at a community meeting, Dr. Morgan referred to this as a perfect storm of challenges. Over the last months, the district has engaged in the Building Brighter Futures Strategic Planning Initiative. This initiative is to deal with these challenges and to ensure a best-of-class education for our scholars. So today, we get an important update from Dr. Morgan on progress made on initiatives and goals from last year and the significant work that lies ahead to meet that perfect storm that Dr. Morgan discussed. Now, members and friends of the City Club, please join me in welcoming Dr. Warren Morgan.
Thank you. Thanks, Lee, and thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be with you, families, educators, scholars, alumni, union partners, civic leaders, faith leaders, including my pastor, Dr. R.A. Vernon, who's also an East Tech alum, higher education partners, and friends of public education. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge so many people are in the room because it truly takes a village to educate a child. But I would like to start by giving a shout out to all our scholars who made today so special. The scholars who performed, yes, give them a hand. The scholars who performed in the jazz ensemble and welcome guests as you arrived today, our scholars in the string quartet who set the tone here in the ballroom, our career tech culinary scholars who prepared the cookie that's awaiting you as you leave today, and also prepared the pretzel that's at your table, and also our art students who designed the wonderful and beautiful centerpieces at your table. To all these scholars and more, Thank you for all you do, and your talents remind us of why we do this work. I also want to thank Dan Malthrop and everyone at the City Club, inclusive of Cynthia Connolly, who is my Leadership Cleveland classmate. And speaking of Leadership Cleveland, I hear the LC25 is in the house. For everyone at City Club, thank you again for convening us today and continuing this tradition of public engagement. I want to thank and acknowledge our amazing Board of Education, starting with our board chair, Sarah Ellicott, Diana Welch-Howell, Dr. Nigamanth Sridhar, Maduri LeBron, Robert Briggs, Caroline Peak, Jerry Billups, Pastor Ivory Jones, and CMSD's very own Charlene Jones, including Dr. Michael Baston, president of Tri-C, and then also Dr. Laura Bloomberg, who's the president of Cleveland State. Thank you for your commitment to our scholars and for all the work you do for our school district. I want to recognize and acknowledge our CMSD educators, inclusive of teachers, paraprofessionals, counselors, bus drivers, food service teams, custodians, safety and security officers, nurses, secretaries, school leaders, central office leaders, and all the people who make our schools work. I'm grateful for the stellar partnership and leadership of my first team, the CMSD Executive Leadership Team. Thank you for the hard work you do. For our senior leadership team, and a special shout out to our external affairs team led by Chief Lisa Farmer-Cole and John Benedict for gathering us today for this amazing occasion. A shout out to our Teachers Union President, Sherry Obrinsky, Principals Association President, Quentin Davis, and other labor leaders who are fighting for our team members so hard. I would be remiss if I did not extend a heartfelt gratitude to our civic leaders, starting with our great mayor, the Honorable Justin M. Bibb, City Council President Blaine Griffin, and all of City Council. Thank you for leading our city with purpose and conviction. To Secretary Marsha Fudge, thank you for being here as one of my guests, and I thank you for your years of leadership and commitment, not only here in our city, but nationwide. To the Cleveland Foundation, the Gunn Foundation, United Way, Greater Cleveland Partnership, College Now, Say Yes Cleveland, Downtown Cleveland Alliance, Pre for Cle, Cleveland Public Library, and so many more, thank you for your years of partnership and support for our scholars and families. And yes, give them a hand. And finally, I am blessed to have my family here, my parents, Warren Sr., and my mom, my dad, Warren Sr., and my mom, Rosemary. And then also my two sisters who are unfortunately not able to be here, but I know they're watching from afar, April and Autumn. And for my big sister, April, she was supposed to be here today, but is unfortunately not feeling well. April, we are praying for your speedy recovery. We love you so much. But to all of my family, thank you so much. Thank you for being my prayer partners, my rock, and my support system. I'm honored, humbled, and blessed to serve and stand before you as the CEO of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District to deliver my third State of the Schools address at this pivotal moment. Today, I want to speak candidly about where we are, where we're going, and how together we'll get there. A few weeks ago, as I was preparing for the start of the school year, I started my Saturday morning with a run through my neighborhood. As I do often while I'm on a run, my mind started to fill with many thoughts. And on this particular day, I began thinking about our schools, our city's children, and our enormous responsibility we have to them and our future. As I was running, I reflected on CMSG's journey and history. I thought of past leaders who have also been on this journey, like Eric Gordon, my immediate predecessor, who I had the opportunity to work with and learn from during my first tenure with CMSD. Dr. Eugene Sanders, who I also had the pleasure of meeting, and all the leaders who came before me and had the honor of serving at the helm of CMSD. I stand on their shoulders, and I know with absolute certainty that they, like me, were focused on doing the best they could for CMSD scholars and families. With each step of my run, it reminded me that the problems and challenges we face are not new. In fact, the very same question has been asked by generations of Clevelanders. How do we ensure that Cleveland schools offer an excellent education to every child? We're on a journey, and I'd like to start talking about how I've been thinking about this journey recently. You know, it's been said that those that don't learn from history are bound to repeat it. Cleveland and our schools have been through a lot throughout history. We've faced many hurdles and we've stumbled, but we've also had moments of great stride, times where we've run ahead of the pack and times where we've had to slow down to bring others along. There are many pivotal moments during Cleveland's journey. When I came in from that run that I was describing earlier, I wondered to myself, what was going on in CMSD in 1984, the year I was born? So as an educator at heart, I went straight to our district archives. Shout out to our district archivist, John Basala. And those archives led me to news stories about 14-year-old Gloria Pointer, who was tragically killed while walking to school on December 6, 1984. This was a dark moment in our history. But Gloria's determined and heroic mother, Dr. Yvonne Pointer, turned that terrible, yes, give her a hand, turned that terrible loss into a lifelong crusade to ensure we have safe and excellent learning environments. Through her ministry and advocacy, she has led forums, lectures, community policy efforts, and she has now opened up several schools in Ghana named after her late daughter, Gloria, in which some of our CMSD scholars and educators have had the opportunity to visit. Dr. Yvonne Pointer is a Cleveland hero, and I'm grateful that she could be here with us today. Dr. Pointer, please stand and be acknowledged. But this tragedy also reminds me that our scholars need to be safe, and that's an element we continue to focus on. Now, while we're forging ahead, we must remember that the path we are on didn't begin with us. We are simply taking the next step in a journey that includes greats like Dr. Pointer and so many more. So let's reset the clock for a moment. Our journey started 180 years ago when Cleveland built the first high school west of the Alleghenies. At a time when most American cities didn't even dream of high schools, Cleveland was leading the way. As Cleveland's industry boomed, so did our schools. In 1904, the city opened one of the largest and most advanced vocational schools in the country. During the Great Depression, Cleveland pioneered adult education programs, helping workers retrain and adapt. The city was not afraid to confront injustice during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. In the 60s, Cleveland voters passed the first bond issue in the nation specifically for school desegregation. And in 1979, Cleveland became one of the first districts in America under federal court order to bus students for integration. But even with all this, not all children had access to a high-quality education. In fact, many children of color and/or living in poverty were on a relay system, split into AM and PM cohorts, and only permitted to attend school for half of the day. This part of our history and so much more is shown in the remarkable Relay Cleveland exhibit put together by our former Board of Education Vice Chair, Mrs. Leah Hutnell. Yes, let's give her a hand. And Leah, if you're in the audience, please stand. I urge everyone to go visit the main branch of the Cleveland Public Library and review this exhibit to see this important retelling of our history. In the 80s and the early 90s, Cleveland schools faced a crisis with budget concerns, leadership turnover, and political issues. In 1995, the state declared the district an academic and financial emergency, the first large Ohio district to face such turnover. But Cleveland responded with resilience. In November 2002, voters approved mayoral control by an overwhelming majority, and 10 years later, leaders implemented the Cleveland Plan. That brings us to today, where we're at another critical moment in our district's history. We face a perfect storm of challenges of declining enrollment, increasing expenses, and serious funding cuts at the state and federal level. However, we have the incredible responsibility and opportunity to improve the student experience and enhance outcomes for all CMSD scholars, no matter where they live, what they look like, their background, or what school they attend. Before we begin discussing our journey, let's take a moment to reflect on what's currently taking place in our system. We have a great deal to be proud of this year, and several areas that demand renewed focus and attention. We recently received our academic results from the state tests that students took this past spring, and I am happy to report that CMSD improved academic proficiency in every tested subject area, and in some places with significant gains. Yes, let's give it a hand. Specifically, our scholars have now improved their pre-pandemic proficiency rates, or exceeded their pre-pandemic proficiency rates in high school English language arts, Algebra 1, and US government. In all my years being an educator, I have not seen gains like this. And the academic progress we faced last year was even greater than when we achieved the 3-star rating for the first time. I'm immensely proud of our scholars, educators, and leaders. As I said before, we have pockets of excellence in our system. However, the state report card has changed this year to now incorporate college, career, workforce, and military readiness. Historically, our district has struggled on this measure, and as anticipated, our overall rating has decreased by 1/2 star to 2.5 stars. In fact, only 36% of CMSD seniors are meeting the state's college and career standard, and our highest performing schools on the John Hay campus have now all gone down by 1/2 star because of the work we have to do to ensure all scholars are college and career ready. Our report card also demonstrates that we must continue to focus on reducing chronic absenteeism. As you can see from the strong academic gains of our scholars, when they are in school, they are achieving. So every missed day matters. We are already hard at work addressing our growth areas with the support and charge from our CMSD board through our district board goals and guardrails. As I told our staff at this year's convocation, it's not a time to make excuses or slow down. It's time to level up. Level up is more than a slogan. It's a commitment to raise our expectations, deepen support, and accelerate progress. To move from incremental steps to decisive leaps. It means that we don't accept yesterday's limits for today's scholars, and to lift outcomes, we must lift our systems, our supports, and our standard of care. As you leave today, you will receive a Level Up keychain designed and manufactured by our CMSD scholars as a reminder of our collective responsibility to raise the bar for our children. Now, though we're picking up the pace as demonstrated in improvements in our data and accountability systems, this is our current reality. Only 78% of CMSD high schools offer college credit in their building. When I met with the Student Advisory Council earlier this month, I pointed out to them how opportunity varies from school to school. At Bard Early College, 96% of scholars graduate with both an associate's and high school diploma when they graduate. Yet, we have some high schools that offer no college credit opportunities in their school. Currently, 11 CMSD high schools do not offer enough AP classes for students to be college ready according to state standards, and only 6 of 27 CMSD high schools offer college credit bearing courses in their school. Even for schools that offer AP and dual enrollment, some students shared that they don't have access to courses that are being taught in the same building where their school is located. And many of you may recall at last year's State of the Schools address when a senior from Ginn Academy asked the disheartening question, why does my high school not offer 4th-year level math? Next, only 59% of CMSD high schools offer career pathways and trade programs. We often hear, why are there limited vocational programs on the east side of the city? And where are the programs like cosmetology? Even with the options we offer, many of our schools don't offer the necessary coursework for our scholars to complete a pathway recognized by the state when they graduate. In fact, 13 CMSD high schools do not offer complete career and trade programs. Only 38% of our K-8s offer enrichment courses beyond art, music, and PE. This means that the majority of our elementary scholars do not have the opportunity to learn how to play an instrument, learn a foreign language, or take Algebra 1 in 8th grade. To further explain on Algebra 1, our data shows that scholars who take Algebra 1 in 8th grade are more likely to be proficient. In fact, this past year, 8th graders who took Algebra 1 demonstrated 76% proficiency. But 8th graders who took Algebra 1 only represented 3% of the Algebra 1 test takers. Currently, 7 of 61 elementary schools offer Algebra 1 to 8th graders, and there are only 70 out of 2,319 CMSD 8th graders enrolled in Algebra 1 now. 70 out of 2,319. These courses are not a luxury. They are the norm in many suburban and private schools. Don't our scholars deserve this and more? 70% of students are in new or upgraded buildings. Thanks of years of support from Cleveland voters through levies that have been passed and bond issues, most scholars are now in new or upgraded buildings. But since this number is not at 100%, that means that there are still children being educated in poor condition buildings. Last school year, we had to emergency close Newton D. Baker because the building's roof could not sustain the conditions of a harsh winter storm. We have work to do to ensure we are not put in a situation like this again. Finally, we have low enrollment across the district, and an overwhelming majority of our buildings are underutilized. This is the result of an over 50% decline in enrollment in 20 years, and we still have about the same number of buildings we had then as we do now. Now, our data shows that enrollment decline is not due to private schools or charter schools. School choice is a factor, but the major driver in enrollment decline has been birth rates. Birth rate declines are not only impacting our city, but other major cities across the nation and world. Our data shows that a healthy enrollment to offer an improved student and staff experience in elementary schools is 450, and in high school is 500. Currently, 11 of 61 elementary schools have an enrollment of 450 or more, and only 3 of 27 high schools have an enrollment of 500 or more. This low enrollment hurts both the student and teacher experience. When enrollment is low, there is often only one teacher per grade level or content area. Imagine being the only fourth grade teacher in your whole school. No other peer teacher in your grade level to collaborate with or share course load with, or no other class to balance a sudden influx of enrollees. And for students, enrollment is so low in some of our schools that there are not enough students to offer extracurricular programs or enrichment. Imagine if you're a student in a school with a graduating class of 20. That's not enough students to form a competitive sports team or enough students to offer many rich electives. I think we can all agree that these statistics are not okay. If you're a child that attends one of the schools not included in the aforementioned, we are currently not providing opportunity for you. I ask you to take a moment to think back to your years. Did your school offer foreign language, advanced courses? Did you have the opportunity to play basketball, be on the cheerleading team, football, or softball teams? Could you participate in band? Shouldn't all Cleveland's children have those chances? Don't they deserve the same? I think they do. We also must be diligent with our finances given limited and decreasing resources. We're stabilizing our finances with a disciplined and student-first approach. Together with our board and community, we made difficult decisions. Cut central office spending by nearly $200 million, implemented financial restrictions and protocols, exited fiscal precaution, improved our credit rating to an A grade, and thanks to Cleveland voters, passed a first ever combined levy and bond issue, which passed at a historic margin. Yes, give it a hand. But even with these measures, our recent 4-year forecast shows that we must reduce spending by over at least $150 million over the next 3 years. So we have 2 issues before us. We must improve the experience and outcomes for every child in our system, and at the same time, we must improve our financial outlook. And the solution we have to resolve these 2 problems of practice is our Building Brighter Futures initiative. Building Brighter Futures will enhance education and opportunity for every CMSD scholar, ensuring they have access to strong academic, arts, and athletic programs, just like their peers in other districts, and attending school in buildings that are safe, up-to-date, and conducive to learning. We also must ensure that we have sustainable finances for the future. These are the outcomes we will achieve with the Building Brighter Futures initiative. 100% of CMSD high schools will offer college credit starting next school year. 100% of CMSD high schools will offer career pathways starting next school year. And guess what? We're bringing back cosmetology and adding trade programs to the east side. 100% of elementary schools will offer at least one enrichment course, like Algebra 1, Foreign Language, and band beyond art, music, and PE, starting next school year. 100% of CMSD scholars will be educated in new or upgraded buildings. Now, this will take a few years as we are still building schools like the new Lincoln West, Marion Seltzer, and our board and state just approved one additional new high school to be built in a location to be determined soon. Building Brighter Futures will also ensure more of our schools have healthy enrollment needed to offer those enhanced courses and improve the teaching experience. And our finances will also improve through this initiative because we will save at least $30 million. Yes. Now, that's the promise of Building Brighter Futures, the part that everyone likes to hear. But to realize this brighter future, we must make tough and necessary decisions, including consolidating programs and taking a significant number of buildings offline, decreasing our administrator to student ratio, and taking additional measures to find savings at the central office, as well as other savings that come with a reduced and improved footprint. We launched Building Brighter Futures last winter, and over the past year, we held 13 regional meetings, 6 webinars, multiple staff meetings at every school. We met with both the student and parent advisory councils, visited ward clubs, community organizations, attended every school open house, and met with key leaders to walk them through our current financial, enrollment, academic, and programmatic realities. I appreciated every piece of feedback and input we gathered. While some of the feedback was hard to receive, it was affirming to hear that most people in our community understand and recognize our resource constraints and the need to consolidate, merge, close, or move schools to realize an improved educational experience for all CMSD scholars. Though most understood the data case, there were questions about pre-K, special education, transportation, safety, enrollment, staffing, building reuse, and so much more. All this feedback is important and takes very diligent planning, which is why we do not have a recommendation yet, because there is a lot to consider. However, today, I am announcing the next steps in Building Brighter Futures. Now that we've done engagement and planning for over a year, we believe we have enough information to finalize a proposal. Within the next month, I will present to the Board of Education, our staff, and the public our recommendation. This will include mapping proposed consolidations, modernizations, and program expansions with rationales grounded in student experience, enrollment, capacity, condition, and geographic access. In the days and weeks after the recommendations are made public, we will engage with every impacted school community to explain recommendations with each school, and each school will have a transition team named to coordinate school-level options, decisions, and resources. We will continue to work with our city partners to address building reuse, so right-sizing strengthens our neighborhoods. If recommendations are approved by our Board of Education, programmatic consolidation and relocation enhancements will take place starting next year at the beginning of the 26-27 school year, and facilities improvements will continue as they take place. Now, as we move forward on our path, we have real and difficult choices ahead. I know that many of you and our families and staff members are concerned about such a monumental and consequential shift, and this will raise many emotions at every step of the process. The easier path would be to do nothing, pacify adult interests over enhancing the experience of our scholars, and not accept our financial realities. However, we no longer have the luxury or option of no change. Recently, I had the honor of speaking at the dedication of a marker at the former Board of Education building on East 6th Street as part of the Civil Rights Trail in honor of Cleveland's role in desegregation. James Hardiman, who I believe is here today, yes, let's give him a hand. He's the legal director of ACLU Ohio, and he said something that still sits with me. He said, change is hard. Desegregation was hard. But does that mean we should have not done anything? I ask you the same question. today as we are faced with this important juncture in our history. This hard choice must be done because, simply put, it's the right thing to do. The hard choices often are. But by consolidating our resources and bringing scholars together, we can strengthen programs, expand arts, athletic, and extracurricular activities, and ensure that every scholar has the resources, staff, and support needed. This plan will give Cleveland a better footprint of schools with higher quality schools. That's the brighter future we want. It's the brighter future we've been working so hard to get to. But to make it a reality, we need your help. Getting to that brighter future takes a citywide effort. It will require a coalition of supporters from every sector of the community, dedicated to doing what's right for our scholars, our families, and our city. Over the last year and throughout all the meetings and conversations I've had across the city, it has been gratifying to see so many people stand up and join in a coalition to help us build a brighter future for our kids. In closing, I would like to remind you what's at stake. 2 years ago, on an episode of the District Dish, I had the opportunity to speak with then 12th grade student Ariane McDowell, who was the John Adams valedictorian for the class of 2024. As the highest performer in her school, and John Adams is in the house, you can give them a hand. As the highest performer in her school, she exclaimed how limiting her experience was based on the classes that were offered in her school. Let's take a listen.
This specific school should have more access to college classes, and that AP classes should be offered at a lower grade, because I wasn't able to get that to my 11th grade year, but then I was told I couldn't get it to my 12th grade year. So I just feel that we need more of those. I feel that our most important electives was cut off, and we should bring back electives that are good to help us. Like, as a college readiness school, I feel like we should be prepared the proper way. Just because we're in a low poverty area does not mean we deserve a low poverty education.
Man, still gives me chills when I hear that. Just because we are low poverty does not mean we deserve a low poverty education. Excuse me. In the coming months, when emotions are high, I want everyone to pause and think about what Ariane said. Doesn't she and all our scholars deserve a high-quality education and opportunities? We have the opportunity to act and make bold decisions on behalf of generations to come. Building brighter futures is the next step in that journey towards ensuring all Cleveland's children have access to a high-quality education. At your table, there's a QR code where you can scan, and I believe one's up on the screen. I invite you, with just a few clicks, to join this growing coalition of community leaders who will advance and promote the Building Brighter Futures initiative. Thank you, CMSD families, for being on this journey for our scholars.
Just wait right there. Wow. We are about to begin the audience Q&A. For our live stream audience, we are joined by Dr. Warren Morgan, the CEO of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, for the 2025 State of the School Address. As many of you know, direct questions from the audience have been a hallmark of City Club Forum since its inception in 1912. As discussed before the program began, the City Club invited all of you to submit questions in advance of today's forum. Questions for today were selected by City Club staff with the intention of capturing a cross-section of student voices, community representation, and interest. These individuals have joined us this afternoon to ask their questions here in person. But please note, Dr. Morgan has not seen these questions in advance. Now, Dr. Morgan, if you are ready, we will start with our first question.
Good afternoon. My name is Isaiah Young from Cleveland School of the Arts.
Hello, my name is Logan Williams, Vice President of Cleveland School of the Arts. Okay. 20 years ago, CMSD was at a student average of 78,000 in the district. Currently, we are now at an average of 32.
So our question is today, how do you plan to promote this brighter future you speak of to the students of tomorrow to get the numbers that we need to succeed?
Oh, thank you so much. And it's Isaiah and Logan, is that correct? Thank you so much for the question. As you heard the two scholars mention, and also you heard in the presentation, our enrollment has declined over time. And our data shows us that it's not due to there being many different options. It's largely due to birth rates. Actually, families have chosen CMSD at a consistent margin, or the rate that families are choosing CMSD has been consistent over the past 5 or 6 years. So it's great that families are choosing us, but we have less families in the city. We have less children in the city. And currently right now, when we have so many buildings across the city, our resources are stretched thin. You have many different empty buildings, not enough to offer that full experience. So to answer that question, how do we promote this brighter future? We can do more by consolidating our resources and really thinking about how we can offer these high quality programs. And also, I invite everyone to think about the experience that our scholars are having. I know I talk to scholars all the time. Some kids have an amazing experience. They get a chance to do great things. They have great programs in their school. But then, we all heard what Ariane said at the end. There's some schools that don't have that opportunity. And we, the adults in this room, we owe that to our kids in terms of what we're doing to promote that. And so this brighter future, there's some things that we're going to implement immediately. You heard, making sure every high school has college and career readiness programs, improving our elementary schools by offering those enrichment courses, but it's going to take time. And I also invite everyone to think, in time, change happens. And there are decisions we're making now around building brighter futures that 15, 20 years from now, people are going to say, why did they do that? That doesn't make sense for this context. And we must think about how we must adapt with the time, given our current realities, so that we can provide the best for our scholars. So thank you for that question. I think it was Isaiah and Logan. Yeah.
Hey everybody, my name is Maisha Watkins. I am the inaugural administrator for Cuyahoga County Office of Violence Prevention and proud graduate of John Marshall High School class of 2006. But my question is, before I ask, I would like to have a moment of silence for Gloria Pointer, who life was lost to violence, and also Caden Coleman, who life was lost earlier this year to gun violence. My questions comes from a very personal place. Last year, my cousin Mandrell Hall was also a CMSD graduate, was murdered. Sadly, we continue to lose scholars to gun violence and suicide, and those losses deeply affect their classmates, teachers, and school leaders. How does CMSD help schools process that kind of grief, communicate tragic news with care, and make sure that students and staff have the emotional and mental health support they need to heal and feel safe?
Thank you so much for that question, Maisha. Appreciate it. I'm going to get to that question, but what people don't realize, we educate our kids and we talk about the programs that are going on, but sometimes you don't see what's behind the scenes. And we have, several channels that sometimes as early as 3, 4 in the morning, members of our leadership team are getting alerts around like what's happening to and from school, or what happened when a scholar, lost their lives the day before. We recently just got news of a student that recently took their own life. And when you're talking about promoting the strong instructional experience and providing all these opportunities, like that's the work we have to do, and those are the things, we love to tell stories and everything about, but they're real families, real issues that our students face every day. We're grateful for the work that we have on our humanware team that's under our Excellence in Culture Department. Through that effort, we've been thinking about how we provide social-emotional learning resources in the school, doing restorative programs, but there's still more work to be done. I know at the city we work really closely with Mayor Bibb's team to think about safe passage to and from school and how do we promote crossing guards and safe walkways. But I know we also recently just lost some funding for safe passage. And so those are things, when I think about what happened many years ago, unfortunately, Dr. Pointer, with your daughter, and when that weighs heavy on me. So that's why when I called you, I said, this weighs heavy on me, it's sitting on me. Because even though that was 40 plus years ago, there's still issues like that we must address. And so even though there's work that we are doing to address it, there's work that we can still continue to do. And it takes an effort of all of us because we want to ensure that our kids are safe when they reach us in the school, that we're educating them. And luckily our serious incidents in school have gone down significantly last year and they continue to go down this year. But how do we ensure that they are safe when they get home or to and from school or even when they're at home? And that's where we do ask you to come alongside of us. It could be as something as, I wouldn't even say as simple because we know it's powerful when you're doing prayer and thought around it, or it could be us thinking about what partnerships look like to really help our scholars and our families. So thank you, Maisha, for that question.
Good morning. My name is Dante Smith, Gannon Academy. I'm a junior. Our question for today was, well, first we noticed you guys didn't really speak on safety, and we also would like to know when you guys will hire new personnel for when it comes to security.
Thank you for that. Thanks for that. And Dante, right? Okay, yeah. So I heard two questions about, repeat the first one about safety.
Our original question was safety.
But you said I addressed that in the last one, so you want to know about security personnel.
Yeah, we just want to know about security personnel.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So that's another effort that we've been working on. We have our police team led by Chief Lamont Dotson. And through the years, we've actually been working to ensure now we have a security officer at every building, whether that's full-time and or part-time. But also our Building Brighter Futures initiative will help that because we have several times where it's hard to fill our police vacancies. We have worked with the city and many other teams to do an academy where we're recruiting leaders. I know we've recruited, Chief Dotson has been recruiting some scholars who actually want to join the police academy and force and get them trained. So that's work that we've been doing and it has decreased our vacancies, but we have more work to do. And through Building Brighter Futures and actually having less schools spread out, we believe we actually can provide more security in the building and really ensure that we have those safe security officers in our schools. So thank you for that question.
Hello, Dr. Morgan. Craig Dorn, President and CEO of Youth Opportunities Unlimited. Building Brighter Futures calls for, quote, clear pathways for post-secondary readiness. So there are hundreds of ways to achieve this goal. Can you comment on 2 or 3 key strategies that you would like to execute in pursuit of this goal and share how the community, be it employers, nonprofits, higher ed institutions, can assist in this endeavor?
No, that's a great question, Craig, and thank you for your leadership. So a few things. With the new College Career Workforce and Military Readiness Standard, there's 11 ways that scholars can be proficient on that measure. Some are through advanced placement and college credit bearing courses. But the standard for that, even if you take advanced placement, you have to take 3 advanced placement courses and get a 3 or higher on that advanced placement test. So one, that's a high bar, but if our schools don't offer at least 3 or more AP classes, then students can't have that opportunity. Another opportunity is through dual enrollment. We do now offer dual enrollment, where all scholars can take dual enrollment if they go to Tri-C. But not all of our students have that opportunity. It's also an expense of thinking about how we get students to and from Tri-C. So we're thinking about how can we provide dual enrollment and college credit opportunities in the school. Our schools that do provide it in the schools have high success rates when it's offered in the school. The other way of doing that is through our career pathways. So even though many of our schools have themes, as we've been digging into it, just because it's a theme-based school doesn't mean that students have a completed pathway. So they're not graduating with a credential in that theme. And that, in order for them to graduate with a pathway, a career pathway, they need to take 4 courses. And we find the majority of our schools don't offer the 4 courses. So you could be at a school that's theme-based, it's like, oh, we like to do this activity, but it's not leading to a destination, we're not getting there. So that's the work we're doing. We're doing a lot of work, and we believe that, well, we know that through Building Brighter Futures and the work we can do to consolidate our resources, that we can provide those completed pathways. But internships is another way. If internships are completed in the designed area towards that pathway that a student is going to complete, we can have more alignment, and that's a way that actually a student could be college and career ready sufficient. And so I know through YOU and many different programs, we could provide internship opportunities for our scholars. We just presented at our board meeting earlier this year through our board guardrail, focusing on those internship programs and career pathways. And so we're looking for partnership of ways that we can align the work that we're doing in our district with the needs of the community and the needs of your businesses so our scholars can grow.
Hello, CEO Morgan. I'm Jasmina Bista from the Cleveland School of Science and Medicine, and I am the junior class president of my grade. And my question is, with the district being in debt and the Department of Education, the Special Education Enforcement Agency being gutted, will any upcoming changes affect students in special education, those with IEPs, or students with mental health needs? And how will you make sure they still get the support they need?
Oh, thank you so much, Jasmina. Jasmine is a very amazing scholar. Not only, I believe you got a chance to ask a question last year, but she's on the Student Advisory Council, and I appreciate your leadership and the work you do. So a couple of things to address that. You know, we are in an interesting time. You heard about the perfect storm of challenges we're faced, and what's happening at the federal level and the state level with constant budget cuts that we're faced with, those things impact our students and our scholars. And at a time where some may believe there's an attack on public education, the work I'm doing and leading in the system is ensuring that we don't end up on a list where someone can easily take our district away and you know, get us into trouble with the state in terms of the financial realities. So one of the work we've been doing is really to make sure we're balancing our budget. But with that, whenever there are funding cuts that are taking place at the federal and state level, those do have impacts on our program. And we always have to think about how might we, you know, cut different areas, or what other areas can we do. We try where best possible not to touch the school first and look at other areas. But you know, when it comes to things like special education or some of the other programs, those are federal programs, and you know, they're mandates that we have to provide that education and do it in a quality way. Where possible, we always try to figure out how we can continue to hold those programs at the high bar that we have it at, and also think about where there are efficiencies. But it will take advocacy efforts. And so if there are civic leaders here in the room that work in policy, really working alongside of us to you know, help advocate for public funding at both the state and the federal level. That's something that we can all agree on, that we do not want to make sure that those programs are being taken away from our scholars, or we can't provide the necessary needs. So we need that advocacy effort from everyone in a coalition of leaders. It just can't be us going and doing that advocacy. Specifically though, I do go down to Columbus about every other month with our union president, Sherry Obrinsky. We're part of the Ohio 8, and through a coalition of leaders of other large urban districts, we're fighting for some of those efforts at the state level, and ensuring that we're not getting more funding cuts. We also have a lobbyist where they both support us at the state and the federal level, where we can also protect the funding as well.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Selena Booth. I'm from Holly School. I'm 8th grade. And our question is, can there be more opportunities for advanced 8th grade students to earn high school credits?
Yes, yeah, and that's a key tenet of Building Brighter Futures, really making sure that we can provide that coursework opportunity in 8th grade. Does Hallie offer Algebra 1 in 8th grade?
They were, but they said that they didn't have the schedule, like the time for it, so they canceled it.
And yep, that's a perfect example. In a lot of our elementary schools, we can't provide the scheduling, one, because there are not enough students to qualify for the the class, and the teaching schedule won't work. And we also don't want to have a teacher that is, maybe remote and students are on a device, which some schools have used that opportunity, but where possible, we want to figure out how we can provide that in-person instruction. So that's a key tenet of Building Brighter Futures, whether it's Algebra 1, foreign language, whether it's physical science. I know one of the things that we'll have to do through the state is making sure that every 7th and 8th grade offers some type of a CTE or vocational program. So that's work that we're building through Building Brighter Futures next year.
How is CMSD addressing students' mental health and social emotional needs, right? Helping them build resilience, right? And how can community organizations like the YMCA help?
Yeah, great question. As I mentioned before, we have a humanware department, and our humanware department specifically thinks about social emotional learning in our schools, whether it's through direct programming that we do, whether it is through facilitating peace circles, whether it is also supporting students and families when tragic things happen. Those are the best ways that we're providing that mental health support. We also have a ton of partners that come alongside of us, such as Beachbrook and so many others that provide resources and mental health supports. But where possible, we would love to see where organizations can come alongside of the system and think about how we may be able to provide those resources. Of course, we don't have the funding necessary to be paying people to come and do our services, but if there are services that your organization is already doing and there's ways that we could think about how we collaborate and provide resources, not even during the day, but even after school or for families, those are the things that really will provide those wraparound services necessary for our scholars.
My name is Ariana Brown. I go to Collinwood High School. I'm a 9th grader, and my question is, what inspires you to do what you do, and who inspires you?
Thank you. Oh, wow, yeah, man. Appreciate that question. A few things. So when I first came in as CEO, I mentioned my 5 core values, and that's something I lead with, and things that are really important to me. So those 5 core values are faith, family, community, continuous improvement, and humility. And so through everything, I always try to lead from those 5 tenets. The things that inspire me, of course, are my family, and that's my personal family that are always with me. We do a weekly devotional call on Monday evenings, and after a busy week for all of us and many things that are going on, it's always great to just have that place where we can pray and also just talk about the week ahead and sometimes laugh and joke. So that keeps me inspired. But then also, you may remember when I first got announced, I said I do this work for kids like me. And so, when I heard Ariane's remark, this is personal to me. I think about my life as, growing up as a black boy on the south side of Chicago, the south suburbs of Chicago. And if I didn't have my family, and if I didn't have different opportunities, I don't know where I would be. And even now, as an adult, a black male leader leading this system, which those have real challenges, you're always just 1 or 2 moments away from a blessing or things being, taken away. And so it's personal. It's real for me. So when I look at our kids, I know what's at stake. And that inspires me because when the days get hard, when it gets tough, when we're stressed and we're working really hard, which the team is doing such an amazing job. My team is just phenomenal, and they're working so hard. Give them a hand. But when the days get tough like that, we must remember why we're doing this work, because it's not in vain. And we may not see the fruit of our labor immediately, but we know that what we're doing is going to make an impact. So, each of you, the kids, you inspire me. Our Cleveland kids inspire me, and it's why we do this work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan, and a special thank you to those of you who asked questions today. You're the heart of the City Club, and thanks to all of you who have joined us at the Huntington Convention Center and our live stream audience for this annual State of the Schools address, presented by Key Bank, and PNC, with additional support from College Now, Cleveland State University's Levin College of Public Affairs and Education, Cuyahoga Community College, and Cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. Thank you as well to our partners at IdeaStream Public Media for their partnership in producing today's forum, and to the Nordson Foundation for their continued support of the City Club's Educational Innovation Series. Special thanks to our ASL interpreter, Bethany Sabota. Forums like this one are made possible thanks to generous support from individuals like yourselves. You can learn more about how to become a guardian of free speech at cityclub.org. The City Club would like to recognize the organizations and individuals who sponsored tables for CMSD students today. You can view a full list in our program. Thank you for ensuring that our scholars could participate in this important conversation. Coming up on Friday, October 31st, the City Club will host its 2025 annual meeting. Join us as Thompson Hines' Robin Minter Smyers leads a conversation with biographer David Greenberg on the life of Congressman John Lewis and how his story serves as a model of resistance, optimism, and leadership that changed our nation for the better. You can purchase tickets to this forum and learn more about others at cityclub.org. And that brings us to the end of the forum. For our visiting CMSD scholars, please remain seated. City Club Education Engagement Manager Ariana Smith will take the podium here shortly to begin the school and bus dismissal. Thank you again, Dr. Morgan, and to our members and friends of the City Club. I'm Lee Friedman, and this City Club forum is now adjourned.
For information on upcoming speakers or for podcasts of the City Club, go to cityclub.org.
The ideas expressed in City Club forums are those of the speakers and not of the City Club of Cleveland, IdeaStream Public Media, or their sponsors. Production and distribution of City Club forums on IdeaStream Public Media are made possible by PNC and the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland, Incorporated.